All right, today we have the last piece of the current Hammond collection wave, the Stegosaurus. So we've got what I'm pretty sure here is a Jurassic World concept art Stego, or at least a piece of art based on uh, a Jurassic World era Stego, because this pose is very familiar to me. So wrong Stego on the box front, of course, but it is a Lost World Stego, as we can see on the side. We do have the Lost World logo and, a nice shot of Sarah Harding doing something incredibly stupid and out of character for the kind of person she's supposed to be. Let's not interfere in nature, but also let's pet the baby. So yeah, very excited about this one. I think the Stegosaurus, the Lost World Stegosaurus, is a bit underappreciated. It's definitely like the downgrade to the Jurassic World Stego is one of the franchise redesigns that aggravates me the most. It's that and the Triceratops, the two like iconic large herbivores that just get completely neutered going into the World trilogy. So yeah, let's take a good look at this fella. Now, I already know there's something wrong with this figure, which we'll talk about. So I prepared extra images to discuss that. So let's get him out. Let's see how he looks in general, and then we'll talk accuracy, which is where the problem comes in. There he is. He's a big fella. Hopefully we get a large-scale Triceratops at some point, because our trike, compared to the size of this guy, is not very good. Alright, at first glance, just looking at him in the packaging, he looks pretty nice. Yeah, liking what I'm seeing so far in general. But let me pause the video and extract him. All right, we got him out. So what do we got? We got your tail section, right? We got the little hexagonal connector piece that we've seen on a bunch of these figures. This is another one of those segmented interior tails, so not a wire, but like a hinged interior thing. What they started doing with the Brachiosaur neck, which I like better for tails. Maybe the wiring is not so bad, but I have like residual childhood trauma from breaking all my 93 Jurassic Park toys with bendable wire in the tails and bodies, the Coelophysis and the Tanystropheus. So I'm happier for something to be a little more sturdy, even though, I'm just going to display it on a shelf and not play with it, so it's not going to degrade. The plates are pretty flexible. I had heard some complaints that they were like really floppy, but these seem decently stiff. So that complaint, we don't have to worry about. The spikes are pretty pliable, which makes sense. You don't want kids to stab each other, I guess, with them. They're a little warped and weird, and this is where the accuracy issue comes in, because why are the spikes offset from each other? I've seen this brought up online. I've never seen a Stegosaurus depicted this way, where the spikes are offset in the same way like the plates are offset, right? They should be paired, both in terms of the franchise animal and the fossil, as far as I know. Like, as far as I know, this is not ever an interpretation of the Thagomizer arrangement. Building off of that, they're like bigger on the one side. These two spikes here seem to be bigger than these two. Like, what is the logic here? What is this based on? Like, why did they do this? I don't get it. The body looks pretty damn nice, though. I'm very impressed looking at the rest of the animal here. So it's just the tail. So we've got neck articulation here at the base of the body. Looks pretty decent. Not like the craziest neck articulation, but it doesn't need to be. It's a Stegosaurus. The head articulates as well at the base of the neck. You can get a decent little curve on here, look in different ways. It seems pretty good. Some people complained about the fact that the beak doesn't articulate. You know what? I'm going to say I'm really glad the beak doesn't have articulation. Because beak articulation on these figures almost always looks like shit. I vastly prefer a sculpted, immobile head like this, because this is a really nice looking Stegosaur head, I think. At a glance, I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. We got the glass eyes. The pupil appears to be painted on the outside of the eye, which makes it look more like an eye. It's not going to really focus. I mean, you can kind of see the glare there on where the dot is. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I like the head sculpt quite a lot. And then we've got ankle joints, front and rear legs, and then knee joints, and then articulation at the body as well. Kind of a ratchet thing in the back. Front looks like it's more smooth. The plates are the same kind of pliableness of the tail without being too bad. I think this is pretty good. Painted nails, as you would expect for a larger figure that should have a level of higher quality. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the body. You can, of course, see the seams where the plates connect to the back pretty distinctly there. Which could be a little bit cleaner. Not going to hold it against it. It's not bad. This like kind of brown wash on the body looks a little weird. How it's just the top of the scales are brown. But it's not like egregiously bad to the point where I don't accept it or anything. I'm looking at the rear legs. It looks like they're kind of sculpted in a way where they're pre-posed almost, because the knee here kind of comes down ahead of the ankle joint or the knee joint, which kind of limits a little bit what you can do with this. Which, I mean, I kind of view these as a display piece more than anything, and so I'm not gonna have that much of an issue with that personally. But it is, yeah, it definitely limits a little bit what you can do in terms of like posability. Much more mobility in the front limbs. Although currently the problem I'm having is like the front limbs almost seem too short. But I haven't really started trying to pose it decently yet, so let's not panic prematurely. Let's get the tail attached. I'm curious to look at the coloring differences between the tail and the body, which has been a problem with this wave, I think. The Tiger Stripe Raptor was especially dodgy in that regard. Can we... Oh, okay, there it goes. So yes, again, we do have coloring issues. And texturing issues. It's actually quite noticeable and, again, pretty bad. Well, the tail is substantially more glossy than the body, which is much more matte. And you can see that exacerbates the existing color differences as you go from the body to the tail. The body looks like it's much more of like a forest green, and then the tail is more of like a brighter, you know, less naturalistic green. The undercolor is pretty good. It's really just the green shading that's like noticeably different. That's pretty disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. That's that kind of sucks. I mean, the big reason it's like this, right? Hard plastic body, soft plastic tail. That's why they get the texture differences and the color differences. Yeah. Also, this guy's back heavy for like a stegosaur. He's very heavy in the back. Actually, currently having issue with him keeping his front feet on the ground because his tail is so heavy. That is not an issue I anticipated. What the fuck? He's just completely tipping it backwards. I need to try and position his legs further back, I guess, in a way where he can like try and counterbalance his tail. Yeah, this guy is super back heavy. I'm astounded because the theropods also have very heavy tails, but they work pretty well in terms of balance. But I mean, you get such a big front section that, you know, does a good job of balancing the much heavier tail. like in terms of, you know, density. The tail is much more dense with that rubber. And the Stego is the same way, but I guess just the front piece is so hollow, I guess that the weight is actually a problem. Maybe I can set him here and kind of demonstrate this, but yeah, he wants to rear up. I think if I get the legs positioned in a decently flat way with them pushing back a little bit, it will balance. But it's not great. That's not an issue I really anticipated seeing in this. All right, let me try and I'm gonna try and get him posed here and standing for a final evaluation of the balance issue. Yeah, I can't do much with these back feet. Neither of these ankles here is very mobile, either because they're just overly stiff on this particular Stegosaurus I've received, or just the articulation they do have is limited enough that it's a big problem. So this guy has mostly got his feet flat on the ground. He's one leg is kind of hovering more than the other, but I've kind of done all I can do with it, I think. And it's not super noticeable. He's still very tippy. I've tried to balance the rear tail a bit, but there's not that much that I can do about it. So I think he's good enough that he'll stay here pretty balanced unless he's perturbed. But the second he slips back, like he goes all the way, and yeah, I can't get these feet, I can't get his rear legs to be back anymore and have him still be stable. All right, well, I'll just have to prop him up against another dinosaur. That way he doesn't have any place to start rotating. That should be fine. Well, let's talk accuracy. So I have prepared a selection of images. So we got initially just one of the money shots from the movie. Nice shot where you see the Stegos coming over. So, first thing I want to count. Pedantics. But how many plates are on this guy? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22? Yeah, 22 plates. How many are on the film Stego? Hard to tell how many are on the neck. Let's grab a pencil here. One. Oops. Why is that? Oh, because I'm not on the right layer. 1, 2, 3. That is very thick. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to kind of get above the hip. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, 8 above the hip. That's correct. Kind of 6 on the tail, and like 2 here just above the hip. And then we've got the largest plate kind of here, very similar size as the one next to it. And then 1, 2, 3 to the shoulder, which is pretty correct on the figure. And then we've got 6 on the neck. 1, 2, 3. Really hard to tell here exactly, but look over here. 1, 2, 3. I think it's probably correct. Actually, probably the right amount of spikes, or plates, I mean, for the film design, which kind of blows my mind. At a glance, the proportions look pretty good too. He could maybe be a little thicker. I think his legs should be a little bit longer, right? Because his knee here is like right in his belly. I feel like the knee here is like, the knee is like right here. And the belly is like right there next to it. So it should be probably slightly bigger legs, so he's got a little more ground clearance maybe, but it's not bad. Or should his body... Actually, I think maybe his legs should just be a little further down. Because like the top of the curve of the back is like right here. And then the leg is like here. And there's not, I don't think on the figure there's as much clearance between like the top of the upper leg and the spine. But this is very nitpicky. You can see the Thagomizer down here. With no staggering offset on the spikes, which is because there is no staggering on the spikes. Color palette looks pretty good. The patterning on the plates, I think, looks pretty good. We'll have some better shots later, but yeah, the like kind of vertical striations thing they got going on here, you can kind of see it on this one. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, giving it kind of like a leafy or woody vibe almost. It looks pretty good. This shot was one I selected for having a best look at the Thagomizer, where you can kind of see that it is linear. It's possible that like this spike is longer than this one, but it's hard to tell because of perspective, right? So maybe there's an argument that the spikes are not the same length, but they are not offset that I can tell. I guess this is technically a look at the rear view of the dinosaur. Yeah, I feel like the body is a little, it feels a little taller, right? Compared to the width than like the figure, but it's very like marginal in difference. So I'm not going to count that as an actual complaint. Here's another kind of long distance CGI shot. I don't think I'm going to have much of anything to say about this, but yeah, I guess his belly here is actually kind of low to the ground. The thing is, it's very non-linear. Like it swoops up very strongly, it looks like right where the leg goes. So maybe that's just a slight tweak to the posture could have been done, maybe. The tail probably sits a little low too. A little bit Jurassic World Stego vibe with the kind of down swoop on the hip. Again, I think these are pretty subtle differences. I don't think it's substantially wrong or anything. Here's a promotional image. So this is a good shot of the plates. You can really see how the plates kind of have this almost woody vibe to them, where they kind of sweep outward from the base, giving it this, lateral texture. And they kind of, fan out, and there's kind of these like swirls. It kind of goes off to the side like that, and then like very like leaf or like wood texture vibe. That looks pretty good. You could see again, Thagomizer is not staggered. Boom, boom. The spikes are in a row. They also look to me like they're the same length. And this is the production. This is like the film animatronic as far like screen use, as far as I know, right? Or at least a version of the screen use Stegosaur. Also gives us a good look at the head. Which, yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty damn good Stegosaur head for this design. Like, I think they did a good job capturing the face likeness. The real mystery is just the tail. Like, why did they do that to the tail? Here's another shot of, I think this is probably the maquette design. So, yeah, knee. So, things take away here, I think. Knee aligned with the kind of the level of the belly. Aligned with kind of the level of the elbow, which isn't quite what we got on the dude here. Knee's a little high, but like, not that bad. He kind of holds his neck a little upright. At least in the maquette design. We can do that. Tail's a little low here. You can see the fingernails. 4 digits with nails. Which is, we have 5 on this guy, but the other one probably is there on the other side. We just don't see it. 4 on the toes, by the way. Which is probably what's going on here. Hard to tell. Because there's this one here. So yeah, there might be, 3 and then kind of the thumb almost. Here's another production shot. We can see that there is like some... This shot almost could convince me that there is asymmetry in the thag. Because it almost does look slightly like these are actually offset. in this image, right? You can almost convince yourself that there is some staggering. Shit, maybe it really is a thing. But I don't really get the feel that there's any difference in, like, asymmetry in the length of the Thagomizer spikes. I don't know, man. This is such a mystery to me. Like, where is this coming from? Maybe it is present. I'm questioning everything. Have I been lied to my whole life by Big Stegosaur? I don't think the CG model is staggered. It could be the animatronic is, which would make this based on the animatronic. I don't know. I mean, definitely a big thing with the Stan Winston Jurassic Park era is differences between the animatronic versions and the CG versions. Like, you can find whole diatribes of people arguing over CG Rex versus animatronic Rex and the differences between the two. So it wouldn't surprise me if the animatronic Stego did have the spikes offset from each other and the CG didn't, and they based this on the animatronic or like a maquette. It would make some sense. Well, anyway, face shot. Getting a good look at the facial design. Not too much to draw from this. I mean, brown eye. They actually got like the eye color right on the Hammond Collection one. Darker green on the top, fading off to this more yellow on the bottom. I mean, what else is there to say? Beak looks good. Like, actually has a beak, unlike the Jurassic World abomination. Yeah, and this leaves off here at the end of the neck, and we can see that there's, I can't tell if that's 5 or 6 plates. It's probably 6. This is probably 2 plates here, right? This is probably 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, I'm almost positive this is the second plate right here, behind the first plate, because they are paired on every piece of the body, so it would be weird if there was 5 on the next segment. So that looks correct to me. Can we see that in another image? Maybe. Oh yeah, for sure 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, I think so definitely the biggest conundrum I have right now is, like, what does the Thagomizer actually look like on the animatronic? Maybe I should do a little more digging. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find a better shot of the tail of any of the animatronics to try and get a look at it. I will bring this back up again. This one here, we didn't think this was offset. This is probably supposed to be the same animatronic as the one from the set photo, I would think. Although maybe not. In which case, like, they should have the same tail. So could be a trick of the perspective, or maybe the offsetting between the spikes, that they are offset, is so subtle that you can't really notice it in this shot. Or this shot has the tail tilted in such a way that the spikes seem to align. This is really going to bug me. If anybody knows if the Thagomizer spikes are offset on the animatronic, I would love to know that. So I can't hold it against it necessarily then that the Stegomizer spikes are asymmetric, because that actually might be part of the design. I like the rest of the figure a lot. This is probably more accurate Stegosaurus than, like, the Anki was accurate. This is, I think, S tier. I think this is the best figure in the wave, other than the Spino. Comes down to, like, are you a herbivore man or a carnivore man? No real quality control issues on my Stego either. Other than the coloring on the tail being not the best. Is that true on the Spino? See, the Spino's got enough other paint colors going on that, like, yeah, I can't really notice issues with the tail paint on the Spino. So I think this has to go below the Spino. This has to be better than the Cerato, right? So this is close to the level to Brachy for me, I think. There's a lot of novelty to the Brachy being a large sauropod figure. I'll do him. Me, yeah. Let me look at him and think about him. Hmm. Yeah, honestly, I think the uniqueness of the Brachy does give him points. I'm gonna put this right behind him. I quite like this figure. I think I find this placement acceptable and correct. Yes. Okay, so I guess we can wrap this video up here then. Stego, pretty damn good. So next figure. The only Hammond collection figure we have announced that isn't released currently is the Buck T-Rex for San Diego Comic-Con. So we'll have to see if we can get one of those. I'm a little concerned about scalping with that. We'll see how it turns out. It's mostly a repaint, so if I don't get one, I'm not going to cry over it. So yeah, let's did I originally have the Rex down here in B, or did I reorganize this and drop it way down based on the other Megatheropods? Could have been. Well, anyway, yeah, let's leave this here. We'll worry about Buck T-Rex when we get him. If I don't get one, I'll probably add him to the tier list and like just place them for completeness sake. Even though we've only been doing like the Amber collection ones that I own as opposed to the full Amber collection. For the Hammond collection, I do kind of want to do the complete thing. If anything, the Amber collection pieces are just kind of benchmarks. All right. Yeah. Until next time, then.